The following announcement has been paid for by Perched on the Top Rope.
What's up, everybody? It's the Outdoorable Gamer coming at you again with another episode of WWE 2K22 Ringside Report. I've been on here a couple times. I've reviewed some of the trailers. I've reviewed the last Ringside Report that had to do with GM mode. It kind of gave us a little bit of an introduction into the gameplay mode. And today we are going to dive into Ringside Report episode number 2, where we take a little bit of a further look at GM mode.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Lionel Jinx. I am the creative director of the WWE 2K franchise, and with me once again...
Hey y'all, I am Christina DM Pham, art producer on WWE 2K22, and welcome to episode 2 of Ringside Report, brought to y'all by the teams at 2K and Visual Concepts.
Now, if you missed the first episode of the Ringside Report with that sweet gameplay, click the link below this video to check it out.
Or go to www.youtube.com/perchedonthetop where you can find me reviewing the last episode.
In the meantime, we're here to provide regular updates and deep dives into the many areas and features of WWE 2K22.
And of course, you'll hear from both Lionel and myself on a regular basis through the game's launch in March on game updates, DLC, patches, and more. And also, again, we're not doing this alone because we're bringing the homies from the dev team with us.
On.
All right, so in one of our previous announcements, we ever so briefly called out the new Mygm mode, where you take on the role of a WWE general manager to prove whether you have what it takes to run the most successful brand in sports entertainment. So please join me in welcoming 3 folks who were instrumental in making Mygm a reality. Design director Alan Flores, senior designer Chris Mecenas, and producer Brian Fritz. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I have my Mygm outfit on today. I suited up for this
Very
conversation.
Very fancy.
Nice. Like Stephanie McMahon.
So let's get right into it. We're gonna roll the footage. To start off, who are the GMs and what does selecting one versus another mean for the player experience?
So we let you choose a different starting point. You can choose your own GM, or you can choose a brand that you want to manage. So having those different combinations of things can affect the way that your game is going to play throughout. So you can play as Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, or a custom GM. You can play as Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or NXT UK. And it's really pretty interesting the way that those things combine, because each one of those choices is going to give you a very powerful power card that you can play throughout the course of the game. So like, for example, Adam Pearce will allow you to, he's got an instigator card. If you play that, then all of your rivalries will be increased by 1 level. Or if you play as Sonya Deville, you'll be able to boost the morale of your entire roster.
To me, the next part of the mode is my favorite part, is selecting the draft, right? So
to dive a little deeper into that, because what they didn't tell you, because they didn't want to put it on the YouTube page, because he was released recently, is that not only are Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, or a custom superstar one of the options that you can choose as the general manager for Mygm mode, but you can also choose William Regal. I don't know if you can see that right there. There he is. William Regal is also an option for the Mygm mode. And in those modes, you have Adam Pearce, who can play the role of an instigator. You have Sonya Deville, that can play the role of a superstar GM. You have William Regal, who can play the role of Legend Whisperer. You have Shane McMahon, which can play the role of Coast to Coast. And Stephanie McMahon, which can play the role of the McMahon presence. Now, what those mean, we don't necessarily 100% know yet. It might say in this video. We might have to find out when the game comes out.
Oh, selecting your superstars. But I always find trouble, like, trying to select a balanced roster, because I get my eyes get big whenever I see like those big names on the board that's still available, and then I run out of money. So I know there's a lot that goes into booking a balanced roster, and so can you talk more about that process and help me become a better GM?
That's also my favorite part of the mode as well. Once you get into the draft, basically that's your first look at all the superstars. And what you're going to find is you're going to see a lot of different stats that are going to stand out to you. You're going to see things like their class, their alignment, their popularity, their stamina. But what's really important to look at kind of early on is what their class is. So like there's giants, cruisers, specialists. And what you're going to want to do is like draft a kind of variety of different superstars that kind of go well together. And we do a decent job at telling you like, oh, these are going to be good matchups to help you along the way.
That's super
But
helpful.
obviously you can draft whoever you want, make your dream roster. And speaking of dream roster, players, they can upload their own custom draft pool that include created superstars too. So they're going to be able to go wild with that. When they create their custom superstars, it will generate a cost for them. And speaking of which, when you're drafting, something to also be very careful about is how much each person is it's going to cost when you draft them. You have a budget when you go into it, and if you spend all your money after the draft, you might not have money to sign free agents.
Now let's go back to that for a minute because I want to focus on those rules right there real quick. Each GM will start with a budget of $2,750,000. GMs will take turns drafting one after another, starting with player one, similar to how the game always ran before when we played GM mode. There will be 8 rounds of drafting. After the 8-round drafting becomes optional, GMs can opt out or draft until they are out of cash. That was also an option as well in the older games. You could draft until you ran out of money, until there were no superstars left, or you could quit drafting at that point, say I'm good with my roster right now, opt to sign free agents in the future, or just roll with the roster that you have at the moment. Tip: GMs can press the R3 button to get recommendations on who to draft. You can also press the square button to get more information about a superstar. I assume that that's what they were talking about when they said that you would get recommendations as to who would work well together. Superstars, I'm assuming, against each other or as part of a tag team. So that'll be interesting to see the recommendations portion of the game as well. So I'm excited about that. Let's see what else they have to say.
You have a budget when you go into it, and if you spend all your money after the draft, you might not have money to sign free agents, enhancement talent, legends. There's a lot of things you can do with money, so you got to be very careful.
I'm exactly like Lionel. I go in, I draft all the available superstars I can, and I go in with $0. Trying to
That was always me, and I always messed up.
I'm in trouble. Oh no. If you have the budget, you can have awesome matches in Hell in a Cell or TLC, but that was cost a little bit extra money to set up. So if you don't have the budget, and you're stuck running one-on-one normal matches or tag team matches with, no awesome match types. With these show logistics, you can have that high school gym arena, or you can move up into like concert halls and even these giant arenas that can give you bonuses, not only just to your show ratings, but also if you achieve certain little goals assigned to those things.
We have a store where you can buy different power cards, where you can buy a lot of useful things. Like there's a health spa. So say I have a superstar that's feeling, maybe I put him in 5 Hell in a Cells in a row. So he's a little bit injured or something, like he's a little bit down. So they're like, all right, here's a health spa. You go there for a week and rest, and then you boost some of your stamina. Just take a little bit of a break.
That's actually really cool, because if I remember correctly, in the older MyGM modes, a superstar could be injured and or like not feeling the greatest, or their morale wasn't the best. And there wasn't a whole lot you could do. You could try and put them in more matches because they would get more opportunity and that would make them happier. Or you could just not use them, and I believe that healed them. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a long time since I've played those games. However, this is really cool because I feel like this helps with the morale. I feel like it's a little more interactive in this MyGM mode, because if they're injured, you can actually get them back up to par. Kind of like as if you would in real life if somebody was hurt.
But we also have a system of commissioner goals where basically Triple H will show up, will say, I want you to not don't put Drew McIntyre in a match this week. And if you do that, then you can earn a power card from him. And some of those are very powerful things that will boost your ratings, boost your superstars. It's really a lot of fun stuff in there.
Yeah, see, I tend to be, the guy who just follows the rules. But I know, Alan, you always play like the villain type of GM.
Yeah, it's weird because, I don't really consider myself a bad guy when I'm doing it. My superstars react that way. So basically what I do is I will book them in the hardest matches I can to really boost my ratings all the time. And they'll complain. They'll come to me in the dramas, go like, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling injured. And then if I actually put them in another match, they become injured. Then they'll come to me like, what the heck are you doing? I'm injured. I knew this was going to happen. And then there's a tendency where they might want to leave. So I try and, use some of the stuff to boost their morale a bit, to get them to stay around, give them a little bit extra money so they can hang around and help fill out my brand still.
Why do that when you can just Be a good
I
GM.
want to get into once you actually build out your shows for the week. Let's talk about some of the different variations of how you can view your show, because there's the option to simulate an entire show. You can play these matches, but then also one of my favorites is that you can spectate as, yeah, exactly what Lionel's doing. You can spectate and let's call out that spectate mode is exclusive.
Love the
to
Charlotte
Mygm.
Thanos attire.
So Chris, I want you to talk about what this means for the player experience.
Obviously, you can play your matches. We really wanted to make sure you were able to do that. Another really cool thing is, and I know like maybe you thought that you wouldn't be seeing your GM anytime in the ring, but you're going to be able to use your GM and interfere in matches as well. Whether
that's
one
awesome.
Of the ones you picked or one of your creative ones, you finally get to see yourself in some action.
I don't know why, but I love the idea of Adam Pearce as Brock
like
Lesnar's manager.
Spectate, you're going to be able to do a really good job at basically being in the production truck and acting as if you were running the show from that side. And it's really cool. It's something we haven't seen before. I don't believe so. You get to like change the cameras at will. And basically how you think you should run the show, you finally get the chance to run the show that way. Try as you might, I know you want to maybe cheese a 5-star rating out of there. I know I'm assuming that's probably what you would do. But if you really want to get the highest ratings, you're going to have to really be good at your matchups, because it's the viewers that are going to give you your ratings at the end of the day.
Why you always gotta pick on me though? For real.
Yeah, I feel like Chris is saying Lionel isn't great at building these matchups, so he's not
I
going to
mean,
get these
I think Chris,
5-star ratings.
Chris is looking at my stats and he's just seeing like, yeah, I never got out of the high school gym because I keep blowing my budget. Like I don't listen to, I listen to Triple H all the time. So, like I'm just a rule follower, I guess, man.
Brian, I do want you to go into what happens post-match.
Definitely. So regardless of whether you are playing, spectating, or simulating, after you are completing your match card, you go to a nice post-match breakdown screen, get a nice little match report that you can click on for all of your matches to show you, like, well, when you went in this match, you can see that these styles didn't quite click, or it was, people were hoping to see maybe a higher popularity superstar in the main event, and we're surprised to see this superstar in there. So there's a lot of really cool things that can really help out for people like Lionel, who maybe just go in and do whatever the heck they want.
Here we go.
That's actually really cool, because I remember in the older games, you would just get like bad ratings from the fans that were watching your show. And what was always really frustrating to me is that you never could really figure out why they were giving you that rating. You just had to try different things and see if they would stick. The fact that they give you this post-match breakdown actually gives you a good idea of what the fans are looking to see and what you can change to make your show better. So that's really cool too.
Here we go. Just gonna keep piling it on, huh? See how it is.
And then we get a nice breakdown screen that shows you exactly what you did that impacted your revenue, that impacted your viewership. And as Alan alluded to earlier, there's also some fun social media posts on the side when you get to these screens. I'll giving you hints, but also giving you a little bit of flavor going into your specific MyGM season. It's just cool having that kind of flavor, that kind of personality to MyGM that kind of grows as your season grows throughout the 15, 25, or 50-week season.
I'm glad you brought that up. But what can our fans come to expect when they actually play through a complete session?
Well, I mean, the goal of the mode is to win, basically. So you decide if you're going to play against an AI GM or you can play against another person. You can play local co-op. We've even figured out a way to do some remote play via Steam remote play type of thing. So you can play a little bit of online play that way. So basically, your goal is to win. So throughout the course of the week, you're going to put on weekly shows. You want to make those great, but you're building towards a pay-per-view every 5 weeks. So then there's real WWE pay-per-views. There's like Backlash and Extreme Rules, with ending up with your WrestleMania at the end. So on your courses you're going through there, you're trying to build up money, unlock new arenas, get new logistics, get better crew, all that type of stuff, make your show bigger and bigger, make more money, and then go into WrestleMania with a bunch of killer rivalries, put on your best show, and then just go in and destroy your opponent. That's the goal.
So you mean how I'm gonna destroy Chris the next time we play multiplayer? Because now that I got all the tips, I'm out of the high school gym, putting SmackDown on you, Chris. Done.
Yeah, I don't know if you got all the tips. Actually, speaking of like going through the season, and Alan mentioned this a little bit earlier. He mentioned the word dramas, and basically what dramas are is basically you as a GM get to interact with either the commissioner, which is Triple H, or your superstars, and they're going to be asking you for like promises or like rematches, or Triple H will be saying you're doing this kind of poorly. And those are ways of getting tips as well. Like Triple H will tell you what you should be doing.
Similar to
better.
the match
So
breakdown.
I really hope you're paying attention to those right now, because you're going to probably need those along the way. I don't need those, but I do want to make sure that I'm keeping my superstars happy. That's something that you're going to have to also manage throughout the season, is your superstars' happiness and their morale.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I love that you guys have done was building in those tips that you talk about. Like even like when you talk about the draft, like that little hint
Super
at the bottom
huge.
of like, hey, here's who we recommend you guys draft based on who you already drafted. And so like we hold your hand throughout the entire process, which to me, it makes it way less intimidating when jumping in to this brand new mode to our game.
People want to draft their top guys, the guys that they like, which is great. But it's like, well, maybe this person will match up a little bit better with that person, just so they understand it, as opposed to just going, I have these 2 top stars, what's going on? They're not getting the ratings that I want. It's like, well, you have 2 guys that are slowly plotting around each other, and they're not putting on a good match, right? So that's what we're trying to help people put on the best matches possible.
Okay.
That's one point when you're talking about putting on those matches and pairing people up properly. There at the very end, when it shows you the match breakdown, you'll get a certain amount of stars, obviously, but then there'll be comments like 1.5 stars, disappointing, and that hurts. That could have picked any word, disappointing. I'm like, oh man.
But Christina, does that hurt more than like the fans calling you out for having a terrible show? I get, man, that stuff, I get butthurt. I'm just like, oh,
yeah, definitely.
You didn't like my show.
I mean, it just compiles at that point, so it's.
There's nothing worse than being a SmackDown show and just seeing someone like, oh, Raw really did great this week. What happened, SmackDown?
Yeah. Y'all, we are just about out of time. So I got one final question. So you're pulling up Mygm for the first time. Which GM are you picking? What brand are you running? And who's your first draft pick? Let's start with Lionel, because there's been a lot of smack talk.
Okay. We smack talk. So I'm going to stick with SmackDown, because I'm going to lay the SmackDown on Chris. And Alan, if you want to step in too, like I got it all for you guys. Brian, me and you are cool. I ain't got nothing for you, man. And for my GM, I am choosing Adam Pearce for obvious reasons. We have a lot of things in common. Shiny domes. But yeah, that's my top 2 right there.
Okay.
Alan. No, wait, hold on. Chris, you've done the most smack talking today, so you're next.
I feel like it was back and forth. I think it was equal. Well, man, he took my show. I was gonna go SmackDown, but I don't,
because you was talking all that mess. I gotta go SmackDown.
You know what? I'm gonna go NXT UK, and I'm gonna beat his SmackDown easy. Because you know you'll see what their power card is, and then you'll be scared. But for my GM, I'm gonna go with Shane McMahon, because we also have something in common. That's gonna be a battle for the ages. Just don't worry.
I'm fired, man. I'm gonna practice my people's eyebrow, man. I'm gonna get that down and whip that candy ass.
All right, Alan, who you got?
I definitely have to go with Sonya Deville, because she has her power card is basically she boosts the morale of the roster, which is very useful for me when I'm,
you're the bad guy too.
Very upset. They come and complain to me.
You like to be the bad GM, and that's obviously Sonya.
So they're gonna hang up. They're gonna be okay. Then I would probably pick Raw, because that allows you to basically mess with the other show and beat just some of their superstars. But then once again, when I'm doing my draft, I like to draft in pairs to look at guys that match up really well. So I'd probably go with Walter and Rey Mysterio, because you have a big guy and a little guy. They're going to put on a great match, and they're going to mix really well together. You got a good guy and a bad guy. It's going to work out well together.
That was a very thoughtful answer.
Yeah.
Very, very thoughtful.
Smack talk.
Brian, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go with probably the best GM you can pick, and that is me. I'm going to be the GM that I pick. Because like I said, we can have custom GMs. So I'm going to make my own character through creations. You can even download them through community creations. I'm going to create myself. I'm going to put myself as the GM. I'm going to be, and even as a created GM, you still get an awesome power card. So I'll get the ability to raise the popularity of my lowest popularity superstar by 20 right off the bat. So that's awesome.
Ooh, I like that one.
Because I want to go to NXT, where I get I get a title match that gets a bonus to my ratings, and I'm gonna draft John Cena, And I'm gonna put him with a bunch of maybe lower popularity, up and coming superstars, and have like a little David versus Goliath thing going on. You know, maybe a little John Cena versus Dexter Lumis or something. You know, for WrestleMania. I think we can make that happen.
I like it.
I think the fans want to see it.
Nice.
All right. I forgot who was my first pick. I'm picking some enhancement talent. A free agent. I'm gonna pick the Silence or whatever.
The Mygm.
That's my guy. I mean, he's gonna tear you up, Chris.
The Mygm.
Well, I'm going Roman Reigns, so you can acknowledge that.
Roman Reigns NXT UK.
It's gonna be like this the whole time.
Right?
Shutting you up. So, Christina, right back at you. Who are you picking?
I thought he was gone forever.
I was gonna go Stephanie McMahon, but I have this really fresh Mygm suit on, so I'm gonna go with Brian's answer. I'm gonna create myself. I'm gonna run Raw, and I'm gonna pick the EST Bianca Belair.
What?
And then I'm gonna go against Brian.
Ooh, there we go. You do the Bianca taunt, like twirling your hair.
So you're gonna rock that ponytail.
Solid choices.
All right, y'all. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to Alan, Brian, and Chris for joining us on today's episode.
That's great. Nice.
We're going to try this again. All right, y'all. That's it for our time today. Thank you to Chris, Alan, and Brian for joining us on today's episode about Mygm. And if you missed our kickoff episode about all things gameplay, click the link below to check it out.
Thank you all for tuning in. We will talk to you again soon. And in the meantime, check us out on social media, WWE Games. Peace.
Bye.
Alrighty then. So you have it here. We have our newest Ringside report on the Mygm mode, and I've got to say this unpacked a lot more regarding this mode, and I am super hyped to play this game. Now, the real question is, who am I picking as Mygm, and who's going to be my #1 draft pick? Well, I am a man of tradition, as is this GM, I feel. This GM has a lot of experience in the general manager role, and I think he would do me justice. I am going with Friday Night SmackDown as my show. As anybody who's ever played with me would know, I'm a SmackDown guy through and through. My general manager is going to be none other than William Regal, and my first draft pick is going to be the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. We're going to smash them all. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back for another episode of the WWE 2K Ringside Report. Later.
Hey everyone. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you hit subscribe so you can get all our content here at Perched on the Top Rope. And fans, remember, spoiler free's the way to be. I'm out.